What's going on, guys? I know I've told you I needed to do a review of this van, so let's get started with it. There's a few things that we love with this thing. Just the ease and the convenience of it being inclement weather outside and us being able to just pop something open, make a cup of coffee, whatever it is. It's a little crouched being a low top van, but I think we can survive with it. There's a couple of main points that I'd probably do differently if I built out another one, and one of them I really can't do anything different with on this one because we're so limited in space. But I would put instead of the bed going lengthwise, I'd put it widthwise, I'd put it lengthwise, and it's right at our toes and right at our head, so it's a little hard to deal with. In the middle of the night, you feel like you've got to scrunch up, you don't feel like you can really stretch out all the way. So when we get the high top van, that's what we're going to do, is have our bed going lengthwise. But for right now, for the space that I've had to work with, I think I've done a pretty good job. So let me turn you guys around and you guys can see what we're all about. You are going to see let's start off with the back of the van. There's so many interesting details in here. As you can see, we haven't finished yet, but you've got the door panel, and I'm really happy with the way this turned out. All the lines inside match everywhere, all the way around, even on the two side doors over there. And then we were kind of worried about security, so what I did is I just took a regular old trailer hitch bolt and I drilled a couple holes, so when the doors are closed, just slide those in there. This guy, and I shove it in there and I lock it, and I'm gonna get one more. I have it for the side doors also, so I'm able to get those done, and they're secure. We feel secure when we're out and away from the van. Now got to do something with these door panels. So these cubby holes, I want to make some kind of shelves or something. We don't want to lose any of the space, so I want to go inside here. I put the Kills mat all over in the van. Even though we spray foamed it, I still use that Kills mat, and it completely reduced the vibration noise while I was driving. I could barely stand it when I was driving before. And then we got our outdoor shower. So it's a marine grade shower, so I didn't want something that's gonna just break apart on me real easy. And so it's a pretty neat shower. It's got constant on, or you just got the squirt. I would like to change that to a low flow shower head because it does use a lot of water. And I've tried reducing the size of the washer inside, and I really can't figure out a way to do it. Even reducing the washer size, it still has the same flow as if it wasn't in there. I'm not so sure that I should have did a finished piece on here yet, because I still need to put lacquer on it, and eventually we're going to paint everything with oil-based paint, white, so it's nice and durable. And even like my garage floor here, I wasn't sure if this is where I was going to stay. So by the time I got to this point, though, it's like overbuilt, and to change it now would suck. So I'm stuck with it, and I like it anyways. It's a nice, what is that, 5/8 plywood. It's nice and sturdy. Put an on-off switch for the water pump out here. So this is wired into one that I'll show you up front. This is probably one of the neatest things that I came up with. So our table is a regular Costco size table, and this used to be down here, and I just had to shove it in and out every time, and it just got to be too much after a while. So what I did is I put it on a slider, so it tucks away up in there real nice. I don't know why it's giving me problems right now. There it goes. All that I did, you can see the slider bracket that I made for it. Slides in and out real easy. It's very, very tight in there. Tolerances. I've been using the metric system, so I've got great tolerances. Super easy to build one of these if you just go all with metric. I have the leveling blocks. Had the leveling blocks since the Tahoe, but I have found a better trick, and I still keep them just in case. but I'll show you what else is going on with the leveling. Got our two camp chairs. Always carry our 2 camp chairs. Got a jump starter pack. I don't want to get stranded. And this is our Wii Boost, which I'm going to go away from the Wii Boost. And I think I'm going to get the Starlink and sell the Wii Boost on eBay. And then back there you can see I have the battery. It's insulated. Got the battery back there. 206 amp hour. So there's gonna be one more, and it's just got enough room. And then on top of the insulation, I also put, it's a little, on top of having insulation, I also, right here is 2 heater pads that come on at 32 degrees, then go off at 74. I always have the Goal Zero. This thing has saved our bacon so many times, it's not even funny. I charge it with the DC to DC charger. So this thing right now is hooked up to charge my Goal Zero. And then the 206 amp hour battery is hooked up on the solar with a solar charge controller to charge my house battery. It's really important to get all those settings right on the charge controller too, because you can really damage your stuff. JetBoil sent me this to try out, to review for them. I'm super happy with it. The Mini Mo system, or the Mo system. This one's the Mini Mo. We always carry it for cooking, like not cooking, for coffee. But we also use an electric tea kettle also. And then for right now, we just have our good old camp stove, which is fed by little green bottles. And here's our Thermacell and JetBoil bottle. And this is kind of like my garage area back here. So I've got some oil. The van has problems with water, so I keep a jug of water. I keep all my Wii Boost stuff inside of this thing just so it's not floating around everywhere. I've got the jack back there. I've got a shovel. And then the white thing is a 30-gallon water tank. And then also found this on the internet. It's pretty neat. So it's by Rhino USA. This carries all my tools. So it rolls out. It's got all these pouches. You can pull them off. It's really neat. And this keeps all my tools pretty organized. And I just carry the basic stuff that I would need out on the road. This guy here, Mom and Dad bought for us, and this is what we shower on. So we just throw this down right here on the outside, and when we're out in the dirt, we can just shower out here. Keeps our feet dry. Our feet, not dry, but out of the mud. Got an air compressor just in case my tires get low. And then we go for, see my water pump back there. I want the 2.5 gallon water pump. I think I might have went with a smaller one, now knowing what I know now. I think it just pumps out too much water. It's just wasting water. But I don't know what a lower GPM water pump would do, if it would just if it'd be too low of a flow for me. And then we went the 2.5 gallon hot water heater, electric hot water heater. It's a tank hot water heater. We looked at tankless, but I ended up going in the long run with the tank one. It says it lasts up to 24 hours being warm. 2.5 gallons does go pretty quick. That's why I was trying to work on this low flow guy over here, but not too much luck. Let's pull the Goal Zero out. So the Goal Zero is 1400 amp hours. Something with the SOK batteries is their BMSs trip quite a lot, and I'm still learning with it. So what I carry this for is, this is how I re-wake up the BMS. I'll plug this into the Goal Zero, and then I'll just jumper this onto these, which is a direct contact into the battery, and it wakes it back up. But before I do that, I try to figure out why it tripped on me in the first place. And usually 99% of the time it's my fault. So it's either been cold weather, it's been, we've gotten down to 11 volts on the battery and then tried to like plug in the tea kettle and it just can't take that much. So like everything else, I built this just to see if it'd work. So it was just a concept, but I ended up sticking with the design. I built everything around it. So now I'm kind of stuck with this, but we're gonna do some cable management. Obviously these shouldn't be in here in a pinch point like this. They should all be in these holes. But as I was building everything, I couldn't get back there to wire things in. Even though I had a wiring diagram, I was still found stuff that I needed to wire in that I hadn't thought about yet, or I wanted to reroute something. And so I just had to go in a completely different direction. And so for right now, I just stuck them back here. Went with the 12 volt fuse block. This thing's a game changer. Very easy for cable management. And then also the empty ones, I just stuck like extra fuses in here so I can just have spares whenever I blow these. Because as much as you want to think that you're going to be careful and that you've calculated all your amperages out and your fuse ratings correctly, you're not going to get it right, to be honest with you. I liked going with these circuit breakers off of Amazon because I can isolate with them. If you notice, I don't have any isolating switches, not even on the battery. I know that's kind of a no-no, and I do have it drawn out to have one up there between the inverter and the battery, but for right now, I don't. I just have these to come off. And there's gonna be another isolating switch here because I love having the Goal Zero so much and having the leisure batteries that I wanna have a switch where I can have it wired into one side will go into the Goal Zero and one side goes into my house battery. And then I can charge off of my alternator with either one. And then up there is my 3000 watt inverter. Might be overkill, but I don't think it is, to be honest with you. I don't lose that much off of it, and I like having that much power, especially with that. I want to have everything electric. All right, so that's kind of the garage. We typically take the kettle, so we don't bring the jet boil. Here are the things that I use now. That is my leveling system. I don't know if you've ever seen these, but these are a knockoff Max Tracks. And what I do is I stick these under the front tire and I drive up on them. What I found happening is when you drive up on those blocks, like you put them on concrete and you try to drive up on them and the blocks just slide. So I couldn't figure out a way to fix that. And one day I just thought, oh my gosh, why don't I just drive up on one of these Max Tracks? And look, it gives me a good, that's about probably a 1 to 2 degree bubble. So if you have your level in your van, that's probably 1 to 2 degrees if you're off. So just that little bit would level us out pretty well. So as you can see, we got the sideways bed going on. We're gonna have cabinets up here, run along there. It's gonna run over to that thing, the cupboard thing. And then over here, it's not gonna be any cabinets, but I'm gonna have 2 reading lights, one here and one here. So even though I've got these great puck lights up here, it doesn't light up your book. So I wanna have a couple reading lights back there. And I'm gonna have, all these are gonna use these screws here. I like the way these look the best. I wanted to go away from using screws at all, but it's just one of those things that you're gonna have to, that I feel like I'm gonna have to do. Maybe you might come up with a different solution. But I got the cupboard over there. I like that. I like these cubbies right there. It's just a product of using all the space that you can use. And got the side doors. I really like the way that these small beadboard turned out. One thing you want to keep in mind is, since these are open edges, anything that's outside of the seal, it's gonna seep in water. There's a couple places in the back where I see that it's seeping in water. And then our cupboard's going all the way to the door right there. This is the finished cupboard right here. Somehow I'll trim this out, maybe a little popular trim or something, and then paint it. Obviously, the countertop isn't what it's gonna be. And then I'm slightly annoyed by all the overspray with the spray foam, but oh well. You live and learn. And right here is gonna be some more cubbies like we're talking about. I didn't want to cover these in. I want to put some kind of a cubby hole, cubby system, something like that to use some of the space. And then I left some room down here. That's for the sink, but we've actually been using that to shower with also. And I just put a valve on the hot water just so we could use it for right now. Because even though we're building it out, I still wanted to be able to use the van and camp in it. Nothing is straight in this van, so I don't know how many times I did these. I had it perfect and then put this plate on, put this finished sheet on here and realized the door didn't shut all the way. So I had to move it back some, which pulled it away from this weather stripping, and so now I've got a gap right there. But live and learn, it happens. I was pretty happy with the rest of it though. Like this board was the same way, this thing right here. It was super hard to get this perfectly, but I think I did a pretty good job. So then we got 3 switches. They're 12 amp switches, the water heater into this, and I think the water heater only takes 13 amps. So I feel pretty comfortable that this will be able to handle it, but if you're worried about something like that, you might want to go with a larger amperage switch. I think they make some industrial switches that are a little bit better. So I got one for the water heater. I have one for the heated floors, and then this one is open right now. I don't have anything ran into it. And then we got the Renogy inverter. And then coming down here, we have inside lights. Boom. And then down here, I have 2 outside floodlights that face this door. I have one that's on the other side, and then I might have this one is going to be coming off the back. So when we get to camp late at night, we can have some floodlights. Leave those on. And then the blue one here is the other water pump switch. So eventually there's going to be a sink right here with a nice spigot that you can turn it around and you can wash off your feet or whatever you need to do out here outside. Probably go with like have somebody custom make a Corinth table countertop for us, just because I like the durability of them. I don't want butcher block because I don't want to have to sand it and do all that stuff to this every once in a while. I had to build this box. I think if I built it again, I don't know if I would put the cubbies in the back. I might put the cubbies on this side, but I don't think I'd have the same depth as I do having the cubbies back here. So I think I'm still gonna consider myself pretty happy with where I put the cubbies. And I was able to put in a nice USB charging port right here. Something I would recommend, don't skimp on these. Buy the good quality ones right off the bat, because places like this, I can't get to that without taking this whole thing apart. And then I've got to fish all these. Imagine how many wires are back here, okay? Now I've got to fish my hand into the back to get to all these wires, just because this freaking USB-C plug doesn't work anymore. It just charges my phone, and that's it. I can't charge my laptop off of it anymore. It really bites. So don't skimp on these. Buy a good quality one. I've got one there. And then I've also got one down on the floor down here. That's eventually gonna go into a cabinet that's up here. We're probably gonna put cupboards up here, so it'll probably be a switch that's up there. So when I'm working, I can have the USB-C and plug in my laptop right there. We went with dual swivel seats, and it adds about 1.5 inches of height, which is pretty annoying because now my legs don't fit correctly when I'm driving, or comfortably when I'm driving. So I think if I did it again, I would go with the custom swivel bases and the custom swivel, and just bite the bullet on another $500 because that 1.5 inches is pretty annoying, to be honest with you. As you can see, we went with the ice coat also. I love this thing. It's just so efficient and so handy. That is just going to be open except for a cabinet, and then got the max air fan. Really happy with this thing. When you have the van closed up and you turn this thing on, you can hear it whistling in the doors. It's really pulling through some CFMs, so been happy with that too. Even though they're a little bit pricey of purchases, they're so worth it. Just bite the bullet and buy the good stuff instead of buying the cheap stuff twice. That's gonna be our shoe area. It's gonna have like Jen's talking about a flip up. I'm talking about a drawer. I don't know which way we're gonna go yet, but it's the perfect place for our shoes. And then the ice co, it's gonna sit right there. It's gonna have a side that comes up, and then it's got a little bit of space. And then I'm gonna have a countertop right here that goes over here. And this is gonna be on drawer slides, so we'll be able to pull the ice co out and get into it and push it back in, and then we'll have another countertop right up here. Over here, we're working on the cabinets. The worst part of this build. Not like the worst, but it's the hardest thing that I've encountered to have to build. Pots and pans and dry goods. And then down below, I found a little area for my safe. So a safe isn't gonna be the end-all protection, but that thing is bolted to the floor. It's bolted to the wall. It's just got bolts everywhere. So it's gonna be more of a deterrent than it is gonna be the end-all for home security or for valuable security. But I'm happy with it there. This obviously is gonna have a face on it with cabinet doors, but this is gonna have magnets on it. So it's gonna fix on there, and it's just gonna look like a compartment that is inaccessible. Hopefully that'll be another deterrent, but we'll see. I was really worried about it flying forward if we ever got into an accident, so I lagged it into that side rail up there, and hopefully it's not going anywhere. I mean, I have so many screws on that thing, it's not gonna move. And then down here is our shades, and then our little tote. I really like this little tote because we put a blanket on it, and one of us sits on it while we're in here, and then one will sit in a chair and one will sit in this thing, and we can like play cards or do whatever we want to do. You can see my cable management. It's not the best, but it works, and that's gonna be hidden because there's gonna be another piece of nice 3/4 inch plywood that's gonna cover all that right there. And I'm gonna have a cut out slot so I can see how much water I have in my water tank. And then over here underneath the sink is going to be, we're gonna get some water filters. Obviously the sink could be in there. It's gonna be a couple water filters, probably be a small trash can. And then it's also gonna be a 5-gallon water tank or water can just for gray water to run off in the sink. And then we went with this guy as an induction cooktop. He's not gonna let me pull it out. So it's a single burner. We've used it a few times. Works tremendously well. And if you know how to cook well on one of these, it doesn't use as much electricity as you would expect that it's gonna use. I mean, it's like 1500 watts on high power. So think about how many times you cook on something all the way up. It's not that often. And that's not where it's gonna live. Obviously, we're gonna have that thing right there. If you can see in the corner back there, that is a small ceramic heater. It knocks the chill off in here, but it's definitely not something that the end-all solution that I have. Definitely want something different for it, for the heating purposes, especially we're rolling back into winter time and we're going to be camping in the winter or traveling in the winter. So I really, really, really like your 12-volt idea. We have two 3-inch pieces of memory foam, So as you can imagine, it's super comfortable. This isn't our normal bedding. We usually have sheets on there too, but we have just that on there right now, just for traveling purposes. We're building out the cupboards so we can house all of our pots and pans. Won't have to take the camping totes out anymore. Up here in front, we have these mounts, our Skosh mounts. These are game changers too. Skosh actually sent me a product to review for them, and I was really impressed with them. And I'd really like to see my camera or my phone when I'm driving, or if I want to do a time lapse of a nice, beautiful road, just stick it up there and do a time lapse. And then bought one for Jen's side too, so she can have one. Then this goes into USB into our stereo here, so our iPhones will plug in here and we can play our music, iPods, whatever. And it's also Bluetooth, but the connectivity is not as good as if you just plug this in and then you're powering your phone, charging your phone. For right now, that's the nickel tour. And if you guys have any questions, let me know and I can answer them for you. But I'm really excited that you guys got your van. That's really cool. All right, guys, take care. Bye.